So I got the chance to attend EGX. It's the UK's premier gaming show. I travelled over hills and through valleys, crossed rapids and climbed mountains to attend. By which I mean I sat on the DLR for 40 minutes cause I'm from London. I didn't get many pictures because I have a pretty crappy phone camera, so I'll just be playing patch 5 footage in the background. The reason I attended EGX is because Larian had a very cool booth there with some equally cool merch, which I am now the proud owner of. Thank you very much, Larian. Attendees could also play a little demo of patch 6, and that's exactly what I did. The demo was gated by time rather than by content, meaning you could technically go as far as you wanted, but you only had 25 minutes. I did my best to skip through cutscenes and dialogue to get to the juicy stuff, and even then I didn't manage to get very far. Obviously I chose Sorcerer and I had the option to pick between Draconic Bloodline and Wild Magic. I went Wild Magic, which had the description, "Your powers come from ancient forces of chaos, they churn within you, waiting to burst free at any time." At level 1, Wild Magic Sorcerers had access to the Tides of Chaos ability. It was down in this section of the user interface alongside the Opportunity Attack toggle. When I clicked it, it let me take advantage on my next roll. It was more specific than that, but I don't remember the exact wording. The caveat being that anytime you then cast a spell, you had an increased chance to trigger a Wild Surge, meaning a random effect pulled from a huge list would occur. I don't think I triggered one during the demo. I did get randomly healed once, but I can't remember if it was a surge or Will yeeting a potion at me. One thing that was mentioned is that the Wild Surge table is in the game, but it's not totally complete yet. The example I got was this one, where you cast Fireball centered on yourself. Obviously, as Fireball hasn't been added to the game yet, this effect can't happen yet. But it seemed like they were hoping to fill out this table as they go through development, and I really hope we end up with the full thing because some of these are just too amazing to miss out on. The only new spell I got the chance to try was Chromatic Orb because our time ran out just before I finished the Grove fight and I hadn't hit level 2 yet. Obviously this means I also didn't get to play around with meta magic since that's a level 3 feature. I'd be really surprised if anyone could hit level 3 in 25 minutes without some sort of exploit, so I wouldn't expect to hear too much about meta magic until the next panel from Hell, which should be pretty soon. Chromatic Orb felt really good though. Clicking it opened a sub-menu where you could choose which element you'd like your orb to have. The animation was good. Your character would basically pitch a ball of whatever element you picked at your enemies. I can see Chromatic Orb being sort of the Swiss Army knife of triggering surface effects. It's not as spammable as a cantrip, but the fact it can cover a lot of elements, can be fired from pretty long range, and can hit for some decent damage made it incredibly versatile. I noticed an update to the hotbar layout. Right now your weapon-specific attacks like Cleave and Smash are over here next to your ranged and melee attack buttons. From what I remember of the demo, these abilities had been moved to the main hotbar itself, which might add to clutter if you like having a bunch of arrows or potions on your hotbar, but otherwise I think it was a smart change. I imagine some people didn't even realize those buttons were there, so this will likely see people use those attacks more often. There were some beefy visual updates too, like the character creation flower field now seems a lot more vibrant. The tutorial got a facelift as well. A lot of work has clearly gone into making things pop. For example, I noticed there's now some subdued gold trim on the deck of the ship, which makes things like this big Illithid motif stand out way more. The cutscene with the dragon destroying part of the deck looked better than it ever has. The most important change, in my opinion, was that there is now an enemy called a Hellboar in the Nautiloid cockpit room, and I love them and I want one as a pet. I could find basically no information about Hellboars online, but thankfully Zolkane and Garrett on Twitter had me covered and confirmed they're a real D&D monster, but they just don't get much love. And I think it's great that Larian are pulling from this massive pool of D&D monsters regardless of the last time they showed up or how popular they might be. Also, I don't know if they can fly or if they were summoned, but I kinda love the image of the Cambions flying up to the Nautiloid, just like cradling these evil pigs like they're going on a boar bombing run. The Githyanki brought dragons, the Cambions brought pigs. That is about all the information I have about patch 6. It isn't much, I know, and I've probably forgotten several things, but it was a time-limited demo and it was a bit of a hectic situation. Thanks for listening, and thank you so much to my recent subscribers on YouTube and my supporters on Ko-fi. You are all insanely generous and beautiful, and I love you so much. Anyway, bye-bye.